Well, after getting this hoop house shrunk down to its regular size, I think I'm finally at the point where I could put the plastic on. I ordered plastic for this hoop house 2 years ago and it's been sitting in the basement, and there's just been so much to do that I haven't had a chance to do it. I'm really looking forward to getting this project done. As I mentioned in previous videos, I've been moving the strapping that holds the plastic. I've been moving that constantly. Every time I need to do something, I need to pick it up and move it to a new place. So it'd be good to get that off the ground and to get the peppers and the basil and the celery closed in so they can really take off. Let's get started. There's a couple considerations that you have to take into account when you're going to put plastic on a hoop house. The first and most important is it windy? A very slight breeze is maybe okay, probably not. It's best to do it on a very calm day because a slight breeze means it might pick up at any time. If it's really calm, the best times, at least here in central Maine, in my experience, the best times are going to be early in the morning or late at night. Right now, it's calm. It's been very windy here this spring. I'm not sure what's going on. That's pretty unusual to have so many days in a row with just high gusts of wind. Right now, the trees are really calm, so it's a perfect time to get this done. The next thing you have to do is lay everything out so that you're ready to roll once you get the plastic in position, because even on a calm day, the wind can jump up at any time, and that makes putting plastic on a greenhouse miserable. So the first thing I'm going to do is lay out all of my strapping, put a couple of screws in each piece so that I'm ready to just tack the plastic down and hold it in place while I get things realigned. Final step before you open and start laying out the plastic is to go around and check everything to make sure that there are no sharp edges sticking out and that everything is finished before you put the plastic on. Once you get the plastic on, it's really hard to do a lot inside. You're going to be confined. There's a lot less freedom. I've been able to step through this wherever I want. That's going to go away. It's something to consider. Make sure there's no bolts, no screws. The punch hole strapping that I use, I want to make sure that all of the sharp edges are folded into the wood. So I'm going to go around and do that now. So I'm glad I did this. There's one step I forgot. I want to re-brace this. So I need to do that before I put the plastic on. That's why it's a good idea to always walk around and just check things over one last time to make sure you didn't forget anything. Here's something else I found while I was doing my inspection. These two screws from the old construction when I had this spliced together because the hoop house was spread out too far. So I'm glad I walked around. Those would have ripped my plastic. So I'm going to cut those off. I can't get them out. I tried getting them out. That's why they're still here. I figured I'll come get them later. Well, now's later. I don't have a lot of room in the garden around the hoop house, so I'm going to open this out here and lay it out and then fold it up a little bit more so I can get it in along the side between the fence and the hoop house. Make sure when you're cutting open this outside plastic that you're very, very careful, because it's very easy to rip through the 6mm inside. Alright, so I actually don't think I need to fold this anymore. It's already folded down to the point where I think I can get it in here. It's really important to be very careful when you're dragging the plastic across the ground. Make sure there's nothing in the way. I moved the strapping that I have the screws sticking out of, but I'm still going to try to be conscious about those. And I had to turn this around because with plastic these days, didn't used to be like this when I started doing this, but most plastic standard now comes with a certain treatment on it to resist UV light, and it matters which side's in and which side's out. So this is marked that this side of the plastic is supposed to be in, facing into the greenhouse, and the other side is going to be out, which is inside the folds. So I had to turn it around so that when I pull this over, it's oriented the correct way. Alright, so the plastic is laid out and ready to go over the hoop house. This is actually one of the most dangerous parts of putting in, dangerous for the plastic, not for me. It's really easy to get impatient, and you can't do that with the plastic. There are so many things that it could catch on. For me, the punch hole strapping, I've gone around and pushed all these sharp edges of the punch hole strapping. I've pushed those all into the wood as much as I can, so that they're not sticking out, grabbing onto the plastic. But still, there's lots of stuff that can catch on the plastic. My anchor posts, this one happens to be covered in my sweatshirt, but the other one's not. The edges of lumber, anything like this, you have to be very careful. The bolts that hold the center purlin in to the hoops, there have a little, the top of the bolt, the head of the bolt is sticking up a little bit. You can catch on that. You have to be really careful, basically, and go as slow as you can and move back and forth several times. It's not going to be too bad on this really short hoop house. If you're doing a long hoop house, like, 32, 48, 96 feet, whatever, anything above that, it's best to have a lot of people, and it's a totally different technique to move that much plastic. That much plastic is very heavy. This is relatively light because it's so short, but it's a totally different technique. If you're going to be putting plastic on an extra long hoop house, I recommend you get a lot of help and do some research first.
I ran into a slight problem. The plastic didn't fit. This is what I get for procrastinating for 2 years. I forgot the dimensions of this roll of plastic. When you're covering a long hoop house, you unroll the plastic and that will be the long dimension. The folds represent the width of the hoops. This small hoop house is nearly square, however, and since I ordered this plastic so long ago, I forgot that the folds represented the length. It was an easy fix, but I was lucky the wind did not pick up while I pondered.
Well, I got it spread over the hoop house, and now the trick is to go around and tack it down in just a few places to make sure that I have enough slack to cover all of the lumber. So it's not going to cover the end walls. I have some other plastic for that, but basically what I want to do is make sure that I can reach to tack it down here, and the same thing on the other side. Whoops, gotta move some of these rocks. like that, and that it reaches down to the foundation, and that I have the same slack on the other side. So what I'm going to do is just tack it down right here in the middle. Once I get it pulled so that I think I'm in the right place over there, I should have some extra slack on the other side. So I'm just going to tack it in the middle and then go down and do the same thing on the other side, and then just start working like when you change a tire. You go from one side across, you don't go around in a circle. Sometimes once you start getting everything cinched in and really tight, you're going to have to go back and take some of the screws out. So I already had this piece strapped in, but I took it off because I wasn't liking these wrinkles, so I'm going to be able to pull it a little bit tighter